Hello, Sanbonani Dumelang Molweni. Welcome to #Asathi Reviews. My name is Asathi Nzelu, and in this video, I'll be doing a film review of the movie 180, which is on Netflix. The executive producers are Harriet Gavshon, JP Potgieter, Udirile Mikwa, as well as Alex Yazbek. The director and the writer is also Alex Yazbek. The cinematographer is Fahima Hendricks, and the main characters are Prince Grootboom as Zek, Noxolo Dlamini as Portia, Danica Jones as Leila, Warren Masemula as Lirumo, as well as Desmond Dube as Floyd. I have decided to title the movie The Battle of the Egos. This movie is essentially about road rage, as well as the lengths that men will go to once their egos have been bruised, and how catastrophic unmanaged anger issues can be. This film follows a man who has done well for himself, a businessman who owns a burger joint and has a stable home, and his biggest issue is how he is going to combat the bullying that his son is facing at school, until his skeletons come out of the closet and they wreak havoc. On this fateful day, he had just shouted at his son's teacher for not doing enough in dealing with the bullying that his son has faced, and was on his way home with his son, but then fate had other plans because he soon collided with a driver who had no business being on the road because of his poor driving skills and lack of understanding of road rules. In a fit of rage, Zack leaves his car to confront the people that have crashed into him, and in true taxi driver style, they all come out in solidarity to defend one of their own, and Zack is left exposed with his back against the wall as he is only one man against a group of armed taxi drivers. The actual perpetrator behind this crash tries to mediate and dissolve this conflict, and he almost does, but Zack's ego couldn't stand taking all of those insults that were hurled at him, and he threw the first punch. This punch was rewarded by a heavy beating from the taxi drivers, and just like Jack's ego, the ego of the taxi driver that received the first punch from Zack couldn't recover, and he resorted to taking out a gun to regain his dignity. The mediator, in his efforts to mediate, ended up creating more damage than good, as the bullet that was meant for Zack was redirected to Mandla, his son, consequently ending his very short life. Zack decides to take matters into his own hands because he can see that in true South African style, money has exchanged hands and dockets have gone missing. As he is on this witch hunt, collecting surveillance footage and taking pictures, the culprits realize that he is on their tails and they attempt to murder him. They fail, and instead they lose one of their guys at the hands of Zack. Zack is relentless in his pursuit of avenging his son's death and decides to confront them at their headquarters. This does not go very well for him, and he almost loses his life, but he is saved by the bell. The taxi owner sends out an order to wipe out Zack's entire family, and history repeats itself as Zack's brother, who has once taken a bullet for Zack before, takes yet another one for Zack, but fortunately his wife survives. Zack's wife tries to convince him to let bygones be bygones, to no avail. Zack then heads back to the lion's den to finish off what he started, and one by one they drop like flies, including the bad cop at the hands of the good cop. Other than reflecting South Africa's deep-rooted corruption, this film demonstrates just how much road rage is really a high risk and no reward. It also shows just how dangerous a bruised ego can be and how catastrophic a person who walks around with unhealed anger issues is to society. As a person, you must know which battles to fight and which to abscond from. This movie was really enjoyable to watch, but it felt like a prototype that was running on a tight budget. A lot of the scenes were not explored to their full potential and were just perused. For example, the hospital scene where the son is pronounced dead, we do not get to see the mother unravel as expected to invoke emotion in the viewer, but instead we quickly cut to the mourners in the family home. There were also some very significant flaws in Zack's characterization because we know that he is famous for anger issues, but we don't know where those anger issues stem from. And lastly, there were scenes whose significance to the plot I did not quite understand. For example, the continuous presence of the medical aid lady, as well as how calm he was when he was held at gunpoint at the beginning of the movie at the attempted hijacking. This just doesn't feel aligned to the character flaw which drove this movie. But otherwise, this was a really enjoyable movie. I highly recommend that you watch it. And if you have watched it, another movie that you might enjoy is The Butcher on Showmax. Thank you so much for watching this film review. Please do like, subscribe, and comment down below under the hashtag Asathi Reviews.